Let us discuss the press work. What is meant by press work? What is the difference between other sheet metal works and this press work? This press work is the sheet metal work, but this work is carried out without cutting the material. Without cutting the material, we are doing the sheet metal work on the sheet. That is the main difference between other sheet metal works. In other sheet metal works, blanking or piercing, there is a cutting of sheet metal takes place. But here there is no such type of cutting the material. Only by applying a certain force with help of a press, we will do the required operations on the sheet metal. Okay, what is meant by a press? The device or equipment which does the press work on a sheet metal is called press. There are so many classifications presented in a press. So what are the factors or considerations to classify them? There are the 4 considerations in classifying the presses. First one, according to the source of power. Power is the main criteria for running the machine. So what type of power we are supplying to that press? So the power may be manual power. If a manual power is using to drive that press is called as a manual driven press. In other words, if mechanical power we are using to drive the press, then that press is called as a mechanical press. By using air also, we can drive the press. So, if we do or we use that air to press the work or to perform the pressing work on a sheet metal, that type of press is called as pneumatic press. And also, if you are using any other hydraulic fluids to create the pressure or power driving the press, then the type of press is called as a hydraulic press. And also, according to the number of rams also, we can classify the press. The ram may be single or ram may be double and triple. So, if a particular press is having single action, ram has single action, that is called as a single action ram press or simply single action. If ram has a double action, then we may call it as a double action ram. If the ram action having triple action, then we will call it as a triple action press. And also, according to the mechanisms by which we are performing the press work, we can classify them. What are the mechanisms? Crankshaft and connecting rod mechanism, and cam mechanism, also eccentric mechanism, rocket pinion mechanism, gear mechanism, toggle mechanism. All these mechanisms are used for having the up and down motion of the ram. So based on that also we can classify the ram. So crank and shaft, connecting rod mechanism, cam mechanism, eccentric mechanism, rocket pinion mechanism, gear mechanism and toggle mechanism. So based on this mechanism, because mechanism is a very important issue in driving the machine or having the to and fro motion, up and down motion, because the punch or press have to apply certain pressure on the sheet metal. That is why mechanism has very much importance. Based on that mechanism also we can classify. And next criteria, according to the design of frames, very important, design of a frame. If a press is having straight frame, then that is called as a straight side frame. If a frame is having arch type, if a press is having arch type frame, then we may call it as a arch type frame press. And if a press is having gap type frame, then we may call it as a gap type frame mechanisms. So based on that, we can classify so and so press is having so and so mechanism, so and so power supply, so this many number of ramps, and this type of mechanism are using, and this type of frames are having. We can, based on that, we can classify it. So what are the types of the presses? Types of the presses. 1. Flight press. Flight press. Second one, power press. Third one, gap press. Fourth one, horn press. Fifth one, pillar press. And sixth one, adjustable press. All these are the equipments. So what are the tools which were used in this pressing work? The tool which are used in press work is called as press tools. There are 5 types of press tools: piercing tool, and blanking tool, and drawing tool, and bending tool, and extrusion tool. So if you see all these 5 processes, we can have one idea, because all these are the different processes which can be performed on a sheet metal with different equipments: piercing, blanking, drawing, bending, and extrusion. Among these 5 different processes, these 2 are the cutting process. Cutting of the material involves, but whereas these 3, drawing and bending and fifth, extrusion, there is no need of cutting the material. Okay, let us discuss another thing. Let us draw the schematic diagram of a press. We are drawing the schematic diagram of a press. What are the parts presented in it? This is the bench or base. Bench or base. This is the die, and this is the die block. Die block. These are the stripper, and these are the stripper plates. Stripper plate. Stripper. Stripper plate. Punch. Mechanism. You are seeing schematic diagram of the press. There is a ramp is there, and supports are there, bench or a base, die and a die block are there. For this stripper and stripper plate, and this is the job or sheet metal. Sheet metal. By using proper mechanism, this ram can move on these supporting bars. It can move down and moves up. Once we apply such a pressure, this ram will move downwards through the supporting bars, and this punch presses the sheet metal. So whatever the shape presented on the die, the shape and size will be impressed on that sheet metal. By using this press, we can perform certain types of press works. And let us discuss the working principle of hydraulic press. Hydraulic press. what are the parts present in it? Piston, cylinder. This is piston. Plunger. This is press or punch. Fluid A. Inlet and outlet. Here also fluid B. Inlet and outlet. You are saying hydraulic press. Hydraulic press by using piston and cylinder arrangement or piston and connecting rod arrangement or piston and plunger arrangement. See, by seeing the title hydraulic press, so what is how this term came, how this name came to this phrase? By using the hydraulic fluids, we are creating certain pressure on the piston on both sides, upside and top side and the bottom side of the piston. So hydraulic fluids are playing very much important role in creating the pressure on the piston. See, consider fluid A. Both is having inlet and outlet. That means fluid A will enter into the cylinder to the same valve, and after performing the work through that same valve, fluid A will leaves the cylinder. And also fluid B also enters the same place through the same valve and leaves the same valve. And they doing the operation, specified operation on the bottom side of the piston. So the piston is having double acting effect. If a piston, how can we say so and so piston is a single acting and so and so piston is a double acting? If one side of the piston is only used to create the pressure, then that is called as a single acting. If both sides of the piston we are using to exert the pressure on the fluids or any other device, we can call it as a double acting pressure. Here we represented two dead centers, top dead center and bottom dead center. Let us, BDC stands for bottom dead center and TDC stands for top dead center. We are assuming the piston is at the bottom dead center. Piston is at the bottom dead center. That is before stop, piston does the work. Piston does the work. That means when this piston enters nearer to the BDC by doing such a press work, as a plunger or a connecting rod moves downwards. Now we have to lift the piston or we have to make the plunger to move in an upward direction. So for that, what we have to do? We have to allow the fluid B. We have to allow the fluid B to enter into the engine cylinder. The compressed fluid. So this hydraulic fluid will exert certain pressure as it is entering into the cylinder. Generally, this hydraulic fluid will be stored with the pressure in the container. Once when the time comes, at the time of application, if you allow the fluid B to enter into the cylinder from this part, this valve, it creates certain force in upward direction on the piston side, and it makes the piston to move upward direction. Okay, as the piston reaches nearer to the TDC, then they will cut off the supply of fluid B. Then what will happen? Then fluid B will be presented in the engine cylinder. Now, to create the breastwork on the black carried sheet metal which is placed in the die block. Here die block may be presented here. Okay, so this plunger have to move downwards. For that what we have to? For that we have to make fluid A enter into the cylinder. Fluid A enter into the cylinder. So once this fluid A is entering, it creates much pressure on the piston. So this piston pressure is nothing but force acted per unit area. So this hydraulic fluid pressure exerts a force on this piston. So piston moves downwards. The piston is connected with the plunger. So plunger moves downwards. Plunger is connected with the punch or press. The press also moves downwards. So as it is moving downwards, it creates the required press work. After completing the required work, again the fluid B enters, and piston will move upward. As the piston moves upwards, what will happen? The entire hydraulic fluid presented in the cylinder will enter into the container bag. Likewise, the phenomena will be repeated.